everybody. Hello and welcome to Rumbi Uncensored. And it's actually a good morning to everyone. And happy Friday. I hope you guys are preparing for the weekend because I am. And it's a Friday. We can't really wait to actually have a good time. All right. Again, still working and also preparing for Sunday church. Yo, I'm so grateful that everyone is here. So it's good to see you. Welcome to Rumbi Uncensored. Before we start, if it's your first time to come across this channel, please just make sure that you subscribe to the channel, ring the bell, so that every time I'm live, you'll be notified immediately. In this place, we have conversations, real conversations, so that we can be able to fix our nation, Zimbabwe. And also, remember that when you pass your comments here respectfully, that's all that we want. No disrespect, please. No disrespect. I've got Nessa here. Shout out to Nessa. Good to see you. And again, you're back on the first row. Appreciate you. Don't forget to like the live so that at least we can push algorithm and invite everyone else to join us. It's really good to see everybody. So Nelson Chamisa finally breaks his silence on Mr. Mnangagwa sanctions. And also don't forget, America said we should prioritize the 16 million people over the sanctioned few, because there have been Nick Mangwana who said, as long as President Emerson Mnangagwa is sanctioned, then Zimbabwe is still sanctioned. And they said, no, that's not correct. That's not correct. Zimbabwe can actually do business with America, notwithstanding the sanctions on our leaders. So, good news to you and I. It's really good news. Very important. I wanted to just ask you a question for those guys. Did you ever heard from the President for Citizen Coalition for Change, the faction for Tagwirei, Mnangagwa, Shema Fome, and Wente? Did you guys hear from them? Because I don't know how many days into his reign, I haven't heard nothing from the President. I thought we could hear him engaging citizens. By the way, guys, did you realize that all these, Triple C opposition parties week, it went on mute? Did you realize that it's completely on mute? I do remember having a conversation with someone that was literally earlier this year, and the person was telling me about how there were kind of squabbles in between Triple C. That was last year, not last year. And also told me that these guys here were planning on doing something, which actually becoming true now, because tonight we're going to be looking at an interview that Sevia Kasukwire watching on ahead with my brother at Newsroom Africa. We're going to be looking at that interview quite intensely. This country is becoming such an interesting story that anyone would want to be part of. So yeah, come through in the evening so that we can look at that interview and really dig deeper and hear them out speaking. But I had a chance to binge on it. It was really quite balanced, and I have so much respect for the time they took to speak out and say it's time for us to really fix the country. This country needs to be fixed. So we are waiting, because I remember Mr. Mnangagwa said, we will breathe the new life to Citizen Coalition for Change. But I want to ask, is there any life at all? Did you hear any life, guys? Any life? I'm hearing people say Kasukure and Muzemba coming to take over Mnangagwa. Wow, that's going to be very interesting days ahead. By the way, remember last time when Kasukire was literally battling to find himself on the ballot paper, that he made it clear that the person that I'm focusing on is Emerson Mnangagwa. So I guess that's what's going to be coming up. But anyway, our job is literally just watching, analyzing, and support where we can, and also still appreciate the fact that any person who wants to see Zimbabwe being a better country deserves some respect. Like I've always said, anyone who come to Zimbabwe and save us, or who may be in Zimbabwe and work hard to free us from all these corrupt individuals, we will respect that person, be the President Emerson Mnangagwa or any person that God can call, Chamisa. All we want is to be a free nation. So yeah, Skilled Rebara, he said, Nekuti Nelson Chamisa resigned. No more talk about opposition being dead or being disorganized. Lamentations have disappeared. No more holding local authorities to account. The rotational president hasn't said anything. Nelson Chamisa's masterstroke move exposed them big time. They are waiting for Nelson Chamisa to form a new party so that they can criticize. So in a nutshell, Nelson Chamisa is really the main men that everyone wants, and we also know, I mean, it's something that you cannot hide. People want Nelson Chamisa as their leader. That's why I'm here. I'm just waiting for him to tell me he's made a move. By the way, guys, I've already have a regalia that can tell you how serious I am. And we are getting into winter. We are approaching winter, isn't it? So I already have blue jacket waiting for me to push on the campaign trail. I will stand with Chamisa. He's the one that I support, but also have so much respect for Tagwirei. If you would want to come, I mean, he's really, guys, I want you to listen to this interview so that at least you can judge on your own. We can also listen to it a little bit later. Unfortunately, there have been within the camps of people who have caused harm and pain into the people of Zimbabwe. Maybe others are saying, you know, but being a person who is not in Zimbabwe, who have known them and talking to them from a private point, I think for me, they really have a desire to see Zimbabwe, I mean, taking a new turn. And again, what we want all of us as Zimbabweans is to really focus on fixing the country rather than people who are angry or crazy about positions. Anyone who have the desire to make Zimbabwe a better country, I have respect for them, honestly. And I think and I still pray that each and every person who is working in the background will really have a heart to make us proud than for us to wake up tomorrow and be saying, again, in 2017, we all come together and said, hey, I think now Zimbabwe is taking a new turn. Little did we know that we're actually moving from the pot into the fire. But anyway, that's what you're going to be looking at right now. All right, so USA made it very much clear that the sanctions that some people are trying to hide again behind, considering that the president and his subordinates are still sanctioned, has nothing to do with the development in the country. They made it very clear. And there's something that he said that touched me. He mentioned that it's actually not wise for Zimbabweans to focus on the 11 few that are sanctioned. We should be focusing on the 16 million people that are literally, struggling to have a country that is functioning properly, having electricity, who are crying for clean water, who wants to see hospital working, who are experiencing such horrible accidents because our roads are messed up. He is saying, forget about the 11. Concentrate on the 16 million people. So we will take a listen to America, make it very clear, because I said the moment they spoke about sanctions, it really caught so many media stations' attention and say we need to call them through and say, hey guys, what are you really talking about? Take us through. And they made it clear these sanctions definitely are not going to affect Zimbabweans. They're only targeting a few corrupt individuals. And you had most of them, they listed there, which also including the president. And this is why I'm saying it's unfair. Okay, even if we know a lot of things that are happening in the country, but I'm a firm believer that it is really important that they can produce evidence. We need paper trail. We need to see V11s, you call it, those corrupt individuals. What is it that you're associating? You are associating them. We have seen gold mafia. We saw it. I also remember the Central report, which again is still, it robbed, Tagwirei into the same corrupt, syndicate. But at the end of the day, we need everything in black and white. I mean, I would say America, if they are fair with Zimbabweans, bring that information out, because honestly, if we want to move forward, there is, I think there is a need for truth-telling. There's a need for transparency and accountability. There's a need for healing. There's definitely need for healing in the country. So please, Igbo, as I said, America, bring out the evidence. We need to see. Zimbabweans want to know how much is out there and what is it that they're doing that we may not know, that you want Zimbabweans to at least be enlightened. I also think I can join in with Igbo and call out for the same than for me to just stand there and say they're corrupt individuals without evidence. You know what I mean? Even though there are some of the things that we can see in the country that may be a pointer to the corruption that's going on, but it's really crucial that they can produce evidence so at least people are able to say 1, 2, 3, 4. You know what I mean? Like what South Africa did. South Africa did, investigations. That's when they pulled a Central report. They also literally reported that during the day of the coup, that was on the night of the coup, Mugabe, which is one of Mugabe's son, transferred almost 10 million rands into South Africa. That was also still South Africans' investigations. So really, I think it's important for us to have that information at hand as people of Zimbabwe than running, with all these rhetorics. let's have it in black and white. So at least no one can escape. If it's in black and white, how are you going to escape? So let's hear out, America may make it clear that, you need to focus on the 60 million Zimbabweans that are suffering than you talking about the few who have been sanctioned. These few that are sanctioned, their life is moving on. Let's take a listen, please, to America.
40 or more who travel to the United States every year.
Yeah.
But, I mean, for the everyday, you ask the ordinary Zimbabwean, I mean, if you've got access to internet or you got it on your phone, the Young African Leaders Initiative, if you go to yali.state.gov, there's all kinds of resources on entrepreneurship, on basic leadership skills, and any number of opportunities. So I encourage young people to check those out.
Okay.
All right, I'm going to come to our WhatsApp messages. So there's a question that came in. If key people are sanctioned, doesn't it give a bad reputation for other countries to not want to do business in Zimbabwe?
It is a good question. But again, we were talking about bad math earlier.
Yeah.
Bad math is 11 equaling 16 million. 11 people on a sanctions list do not equal the 16 million amazing people in this country.
Right.
And so we need to figure out what the people of the United States and the people of Zimbabwe can do together while we continue to have a constructive dialogue and respect the diplomatic channels, the good, respectful diplomatic channels that we have with the government of Zimbabwe.
That is Larry. So
I love that. I love that. Respecting the diplomatic channels that we have with the people of Zimbabwe. Guys, I remember the president always say we are really a lover of all and an enemy to none, which means this is a really, really great platform for Zimbabweans to engage with America. There's no reason why Yago can't stop to do what they have to do. He's also offering a website that you guys can check in and really see some incredible resources where you can learn. I actually checked it out last night. Absolutely amazing. And I'm going to pursue some of those courses actually personally, but especially on this platform that I have where I have to speak to you. It's very important that I have to get as much knowledge as possible because I'm also a learner. I'm a learner. So yeah, very important. I really respect to them. They're open to have a dialogue with Zimbabwe. So where is the problem? Where is the problem? But do you also know that ZANU-PF get crushed? We literally, kicked out. They wanted to crush the sanction pressure, and they said no drama. Like I've always said, guys, when are we going to learn that there is no dignity in violence? You know what I mean? Do you remember last time when Citizen Coalition for Change was having a presser, and ZANU-PF guys went in, then they started pushing things, destroying everything? It's not a classy, man. You are someone's mom and dad. How are you raised? Be a person of respect. If we want to build our country moving forward, it's really going to take a lot of behavioral change. Change your behavior of violence. It doesn't pay. It's embarrassing. It's humiliating. It's not classy. Especially, imagine as a man or a father being seen behaving a certain way on the street. It is sad, honestly. So I'm glad that America didn't take it. They was like, no, you were not invited to the meeting, so you can't get in. There's no gate crushing. They wanted to come with drama. But it's interesting how America put them in their place. This is what I've always been saying. In Zimbabwe, we need to learn to communicate properly, where we put people in their place, in a very, very classy, manner, than fighting, swearing back. Because, if you look at a mad person and you are chasing them when they take your clothes, people think that you are the mad one. You know what I mean? So we need to be smart and be clever as far as engaging those that are violent is concerned. Now, I listened to the President Emerson Mnangagwa literally responding to America, and which didn't really sit well with me. But it's very, very crucial for us to actually listen to what the President Emerson Mnangagwa said, to America after all this sanctions thing. I said, President Emerson Mnangagwa responded to America, and I want you to listen to what he said before I even pass my commentary. It's very, very sad indeed. Take a listen, please.
Vana vedu vane 23 years or 24 years avazivi kugara pasina masanctions. Vakazvagwa masanctions vakurira pai zvokuti avabviswa hazvina zvanoreva kwavari. Ma-Americans recently said they are removing some of the sanctions. I say absolute nonsense. Why? In the first place, those sanctions are illegal. You can't impose sanctions on a country which is not offended you. We have never offended the Americans.
But you offended
They have
Zimbabweans.
imposed illegal
Wow.
sanctions on us. Nothing short of total removal of sanctions would please us. They say they are removing some of the sanctions and keeping some. We say absolute nonsense. Sanctions must go because they are unlawful. They were declared unlawful by the United Nations Security Council. These sanctions are unlawful and declared so by the United Nations Security Council. So until all sanctions are removed, do not expect us to smile because we have removed some of the sanctions. They are illegal and they must be removed in total. And
Wow. Did you hear the president say that everything is absolutely nonsense? And he said until all those sanctions are off. So there's a disconnect here. There's a disconnect because, you know, this is one of the reasons why people have been saying it's so important that we can have Starlink in the country because we want to buy Wi-Fi for our parents in the rural areas because people are really misinformed here. Because sanctions that affected the country and also our leaders were removed. The current sanctions are targeted at individuals who are caught doing corruption. You know what I mean? They made it clear. But now we can hear that the masses in the rural areas or those that we're gathering are being given wrong information. I can hear the president that he's talking about as if these sanctions are going to affect all of us and all. But there's no clarity in terms of these sanctions that we impose now are really targeting us. You know, they're targeting us or me or the other guys. And I think which is very sad when we look at the Zimbabwean context. It's a country that is not willing to be honest with people. You know, someone was asking me a question about, you know, a clip that is circulating where people are saying it's not Tivayo, who was saying, for those that were given cars, don't come and ask us about the books. It is simply a clip that is circulating. And here I was saying, whether you're going to prove if it's true or not, how are you going to do it? Because there's no transparency. People are just being seen being given cars around. And no one can explain what's really going on. You hear a lot of speculations. You hear people saying it is from ZANU-PF. But because there is no transparency, and I wish ZANU-PF understand that nobody really hurt you know, our brothers and sisters. The problem in our country is there is no transparency. Now, people in the rural areas think that these sanctions are still the sanctions that we had. No, the sanctions that we had over the years are gone. You know, there was still also, you know, being drawn into the issue of human rights and corruption for the previous government. That was the previous one for Robert Mugabe. You know what I mean? Where the president was also still, I think he was a vice president, if I'm not mistaken, or he was a minister. You know what I mean? And the sanctions for now is definitely targeting individuals who are robbed into corruption and human rights abuse. And I heard someone was asking a question and saying, how do you talk about, you know, the person was talking about, how do you talk about Tagwirei being accused of human rights? But then I love the way Hope was saying that don't forget that where human rights came in because people are trying to protect their corrupt you know, the, activities. That's when you see that people are being abducted, they're being tortured, some are being killed because they are trying to protect corruption. Every thug is known for always committing this kind of heinous crime where you have to kill in order for you to protect yourself. Because if you don't protect yourself, you can be killed. Every time if police finds people who are either doing a heist, we talk about money heist, or that are committing crime, even armed robbers, it's a fight for fight, it's fire for fire. Because the armed robber said, you're either going to kill me or kill you. So that's what's happening here. So most of corrupt individuals have a tendency of always including human rights abuse because they need to protect themselves. So for people to say that, why would he be charged with human rights abuse? But he's also being charged with corruption. It's also, people have said, yesterday I saw a list of nearly almost 100 or more than 100 companies that I saw. I don't know how true that is because you know how people are, they exaggerate online. Like I said, when there is no truth telling, when there's no transparency, people speculate. So even when lies are being told, people just believe it. But I saw a list of many companies yesterday, and they were alleging that these companies belong to the president and Tagwirei. These were simply allegations, like I said. Because there's no transparency, it's difficult for people to prove is it true or not. That's why transparency is really, really important, especially from leaders who are leading a country. It is paramount that they are being transparent with their citizens, so that at least nobody is assuming. That's when that America is actually fair for them to disclose, like what Igbo Manders has said, what kind of corrupt activities that were being done by the people that they sanctioned. So at least it's easier for everyone else to be informed well, so that you don't really walk around and be saying things that are not true, than to just say people are being sanctioned. Although people may assume, but it's important to have things in black and white. Paper trail is really, really crucial, in my opinion. Very, very important. But I want to tell you a story that I think this is going to be very important. It's a story in the Bible that I love so much. For those that read the Bible, you remember Esther? When the Jews were facing genocide, like what happened in Israel. Those were Jews under Israel that were facing a genocide. I remember that Esther got married to the king. She was a young girl from a very humble background. The parents were dead, but she was raised by Mordecai and uncle. And then she had to compete. When a king is looking for a wife, look at Swaziland. They always look for virgin. You can't just marry a king if you've been gallivanting with every man on the street. You can't marry a king. What is that supposed to tell you? Being a king is something so special. So she had to come through to compete to marry King Xerxes in Persia. When she got married to the king at that time, then she's in that place. And then the uncle, that was Mordecai, said to her, Esther, I'm going to read this chapter. That was chapter 12 in the book of Esther. No, that was verse 12 in the book of Esther. Mordecai said to Esther, when Esther's words were reported to Mordecai, which was the uncle, he sent back his answer. Do not think that because you are in the king's house, you alone all of the Jews will escape. For if you remain silent at this time, relief and deliverance for the Jews will arise from another place, but you and your father's family will perish. And who knows what? But that you have come to your royal position for such a time like this. What am I trying to communicate here? All of you are listening to me who will be under the sound of my voice, or those that will listen to the video later. God brought you into such a time like this for a reason. For you to listen to me, for me to be here. Maybe that's the reason why I'm still single. I can only imagine if I was married, maybe I'll be busy cooking for my husband. Maybe I'll be driving, going to my child's school. But God said, no, I'll keep you single so that in this season, I will use you so that you can speak to the people, to know that if you can sit in your house and think that the struggles of Zimbabwe have to be outsourced somewhere else, you are lying to yourself. We, all of us as Zimbabweans, we need to come together and work to fix our country. It's no longer a political party issue. It's really a Zimbabwean battle. Let's come together, brothers and sisters. If it's forgiveness, we're going to do it because we need to fix our country. We need to move forward. We can't remain in the same place forever. At some point, guys, we need to be honest with one another and say, hey, it's time. Zimbabwe is our home. We are the beneficiary of a peaceful city. We are the beneficiary who can drive when the roads are fixed. We are the ones who can drink clean water from the tap. We are the one who can have electricity. We are the one who can have families that are at peace. We are the one who enjoy Thanksgiving every year. We are the ones. So why do we think that we need to outsource our struggle? Whatever you can do to be a better citizen, let's do it. Work in your corner, brothers. If you are used to violence, stop it. Work on your character so at least you can be a better citizen in a country. My heart was really broken this morning when I was listening to the interview. I said we're going to walk that interview tonight. And I heard when Kasuke was talking about the issue of drug abuse, each and every family in Zimbabwe, as per his submissions, people are battling with a drug addict. It's us who are suffering because of the things that are wrong in our country. It's no longer a political issue. We can't just say it's ZANU-PF of the problem, or Tripo's problem, or Chamisa's problem. It's us. It's us. We have kids who are being dragged into drug addiction. It's us who suffer, having a child struggling. I can only imagine. It's not easy to have a child who is in drugs, who is actually a drug addict. You saw when Themba Mliso was talking online, you saw him, a broken father, and you saw the beautiful daughter. Today she's in prison. Imagine what a parent can go through. It's us. I remember in our prayer session with some of the girls, the women that are in the United Kingdom, another woman was saying it's difficult for them because one of their sons is a drug addict. Guys, we need to come together. We all have to play a part and fix our nation. It's no longer a person's problem. It's a Zimbabwean issue. Let's come together honestly and fix our country. Now, moving on. We're going to talk about the issue of the dictionary. I want to tell you one of the things that we need to be very careful in this era is that the dictionary is being rewritten. What am I trying to say? Is every word that may represent something that is very absurd can be turned into a way that people may end up thinking that, we can actually glamorize this word. What am I referring to? Corruption. A word corruption, it sounds very glamorous. You know, someone is corrupt. No, but Rumbi is corrupt. But when you talk about he's a thief, that sounds very strong. You know, when you say this person is a thief, it's something very, you know, it really means what it really means. You know, when you say corrupt, a person can walk with their shoes and say, they said just say I'm corrupt. Who cares really? Let's call things as they are. Call things as they are. I was listening to Wikino Chivayo speaking, and my heart was literally tattered. This guy is talking to people, like I'm talking about arrogantly. Said, no, I wanted to buy a Porsche, but there were 3 Porsches there. And I said, let me just buy 3 of them because, but when I move in town, women are literally cheering on me when I drive past. And I'm sitting and I'm like, does he even listen to himself? That what he's saying is disgusting and it's embarrassing and it's humiliating. It's not classy. It's sad that such a young man can talk to these guys. We are looking at a young man, maybe supposed to be at work. They are cheering his car. And he thinks, oh, here I am. No, sir. It's embarrassing. That's why we need to fix that country. We need to fix the economy because what you're doing is disgusting. It's disgusting. I hate people who think when I get there, people must see me. No, nobody cares about how you dress or what car you drive. When I'm here in South Africa, I can only imagine, I don't even know what cars are being owned by Cyril Ramaphosa's kids. Because you know what? Everyone can afford to buy those cars. So who cares? You can import any car that you want. Rich people can do it. But you can't keep people in poverty so that when you drive your car, you think we must worship you. It's sad. It is really sad. I looked at him, I'm like, no, shame on you, brother. Go and fix your life. Because it is really embarrassing. For you to think that people must come and be celebrating and cheering on you. Young people, you need to stop following these goons. You need to stop following them. Look up to people who inspire you to be better, not people who want to be worshipped on the streets. That's not how we can build our society. That's not how we can build a better Zimbabwe. Follow the right people who inspire you in the right direction so you can succeed. Not those who want to be worshipped because they've loot from you. No, it doesn't work like that. Okay, so Nelson Chamisa finally broke his silence. And you know Nelson Chamisa is a wise man from the East. I support him, but I must say, he is really a wise man. If he was not a good person, I'll tell you straight, he's not a good person. You know, but he's a wise man. Not because I support him, but we all know, can actually attest that he's a wise man. So he went to Twitter, he said, expect nothing new, except and until the old dies. And it's a painful process. The old must cease to exist for the new to kick in and subsist. It may look impossible, but we will make it because God is in it. Have a blessed Friday and a great weekend. I saw quite a lot of interesting tweets on Twitter immediately. And there was someone who said the people who were in ZANU-PF actually thinking that, Nelson Chamisa said, until people die. He never said that. You know, sometimes you need to read to understand than to read to comment because of political. People are so politically charged that whatever a person say, they always think it's about politics. No, the honest truth is the era we are in, and I'm going to repeat it again, it's an era of truth. Truth have been spoken, and the majority of thugs and liars have been trying to suppress it for decades. They've tried to suppress for decades, literally, because they didn't want people to know the truth. But let me tell you, it's that time, the season of truth. Why? Because everyone had been rampaging with lies and realized that, no, man, it's not working. It's not working. So whether you like it or not, truth has to be spoken. This season here, the season of trying to buy people to keep on supporting lies is gone. Because you know what God did? God have blessed the people so that they won't be bought anymore. It's not easy to buy a human being in Zimbabwe. Majority of people who are at the forefront, they've got their own money. You can't buy them. You know, it's the time of people in the city. You know, those little boys that you can buy. It's past. It's an era of those who don't want to be bought. You can't come to me and say you want to give me money. I don't want it because I know it's cast. I don't care how much money you have. Even if you put $1 billion, I won't take it. Because I know what? I'm already blessed. No money can buy me. I'm a dangerously blessed. I'm blessed when I get in. I'm blessed when I go out. I'm blessed when I'm sleeping. I'm blessed when I smile. I'm blessed even when I cry. I'm blessed when I walk. Wherever I step, every seat that I go, I possess. So, sorry, money can't buy me. Is that era where people are standing and said, money cannot buy us? That time, give people some few changes and the country are going to fold, is gone. You know, it is gone. See, look at America speaking boldly in the city and tell you straight that no, time of lies is gone. It's a season of speaking truth to power. So what Nelson Chamisa says that for the new to begin, for Zimbabwe to resuscitate itself, lies have to be buried. A season of lying to people, it has to go. And truth has to be told. That's the only way we can move forward as a people. But when we try to look at this issue of the sanctions, because like I said, we were waiting for President to say something, but you heard him speaking. President Mnangagwa spoke and said he doesn't care about the sanctions. All you want to hear is that all the sanctions must go. That's what he said. You heard the President saying. But I thought it was so crucial and important for us to really, really pursue this interview. And I want to say shout out to Trevor Ngube. He did an incredible interview with Themba Mliswa. Incredible interview. And I remember that time I asked Themba and said, what is the president saying about the God Mafia? Do you remember God Mafia? Because the president was robbed in. Remember Hubert Angel talking about how you would call the president in time. You heard him speaking to the president's wife, Auxilia Mnangagwa. Also, Auxilia is also on the sanctioned list. So I'm actually think that the sanctions are really boiled down to the God Mafia. But let me tell you, those sanctions are very serious. You hear when Kasukure is trying to elaborate what kind of trauma that people are sanctioned face, like in the real world. So we will pursue that interview tonight. But I want you to listen to this interview. Very, very important a submission there from Themba Mliswa. When Trevor was asking, and you can also go in there and subscribe to their channel, it's Conversation with Trevor. And he said, no, guys, don't play with sanctions. It's a big deal. But why the president didn't say anything during the time of the God Mafia? That's what many people are asking questions. Why he didn't comment anything? You could have said something. So let's take a listen to Themba Mliswa, please, and
the gold mafia.
Trevor.
What has surprised you the most from what has been exposed by Al Jazeera? What shook you the most?
What shook me the most is, first of all, the timing.
Okay.
We are going towards elections, and the expose more or less targets the first family more than anything else. What shook me the most was, where is the Central Intelligence Organization if they are there to protect the first family's interest from a national security perspective? From a national security perspective, it has exposed a lot. It has also shocked me in how some of the individuals were accommodated in all this, how they were given this trust to be able to do whatever they wanted to do, carte blanche. It was also interesting that the government itself did not inform the people of ways which they were coming up with to bust sanctions. Because sanctions, they talk about them every day. So which ways were they coming up with? If it was through our minerals, they were supposed to be very clear, especially if it's our resources which are supposed to be accountable. I think it is important that they say, this is the route we've taken. We shall be taking our go to Dubai, and it should be accounted for at the end of the day. Yeah. You also had an issue of an expose of the first family towards elections. And the first one, second one, and you had people trying to comment. Even the presidential spokesperson, George Aramba, for the first time, his comments did not even yield any following. The permanent secretary, Mangwana, again, did not at all. They actually exposed government that it was in a panic mode. It was in a panic mode. So why do you panic? Why would government issue a ministerial statement through the Minister of Information on this? The same I would ask, if you were doing this above board? Why equally did you not issue a statement before? You see, so it's reactionary.
Tell me, my view has been that we should have seen by now the president, because this is a serious matter, stand up and make a statement. What's your view? What's your pushback on that? I mean, the country has been exposed. We've just been taken off the grey list, and this risks us being put back to on the grey list. And I would have thought that the president, as the chief executive, would have stood up and made a statement. Am I asking for too much?
No, the buck stops with the president.
All right.
He's the CEO of the country. He's the number one citizen. And it's not about dealing with Comrade Emerson Dambudzo Mnangagwa. We're dealing with the president of the republic.
I love that.
His office is of the nation.
You know, we know what I love here. I think there's definitely a disconnect. Every time I'm like, I don't understand how people think in the country. It's for those ones that are bootlickers, because there is definitely a very, very difference between the president of Zimbabwe and, Emerson Mnangagwa as an individual. He's the president of a nation. He's leading a people, not ZANU-PF, a people, which including me. So we have the right to speak to him or to ask or to question things when they are not in order. Doesn't mean that we hate him. No, we love him. But when it comes to service delivery, we're going to have to ask questions. And another interview that I'm going to have to pursue very, very closely is the interview that was done with Sheki, where he was trying to say, no, each and every generation is different. Mugabe was a specialist in education, and he pushed that agenda. And President Emerson Mnangagwa was a specialist in building. That's why he's pushing the agenda of building, like in terms of, these structures and all. And I said, I don't buy that. That's not correct. I'll tell you why there's those kind of issues in Zimbabwe. I can explain to you why people are pursuing the issue of housing. People are pursuing the issue of housing from an investment point. But what they don't realize is if the country's economy is messed up, how are people going to pay the rent? Imagine if the country was functioning. I always tell you and give an example of South Africa. When I look at a person like Bowen, Bowen is known for, that was Stephen Brooks. He's known for how he's building, incredible developments across the country. And he's a multi-billionaire. He's known for that. You know why? Because the economy is functioning. The first development he built, he managed to get money from the bank, and he began to build almost every city. Bowen is known across the country. My point is that you building and stealing money from the poor, because majority of people are looting the money from the poor, and they go in, they build houses. Who's going to rent from you? That's being stupid, because people can't afford to rent from you. So with time, you're going to have no tenant in your house. It's just rushing and saying there's money in property. Great, fair play, there is money in property. But who's going to be paying your rent in your house if all these young people don't have jobs? Because majority of people that are clients for Bowen or who buys from him are the young people who are employed. And then we have got a young majority of people who are not employed in the country. How are they going to be buying those properties? How are they going to be renting and pay the rent every month? We need to start removing a culture of thieving and thinking that if you steal, you're going to be succeeding. Life doesn't work like that. You don't steal to succeed, you work to succeed. And you follow the process. Cutting corners is gone. That season is gone, and it's going to be going soon. Majority of people have to be accountable for all the loot that they've done. Unfortunately, it is what it is. You were looting and you caused pain, and you have to also face the same pain. In multiplication, I'm going to be honest, in multiplication, like I said to you before, Ibomandas is pursuing that all these paper trail must be produced. Zimbabweans must see what kind of loot that has been happening over the years, especially from those that have been sanctioned. So the Newswalks reported that Zimbabwean public intellectual Professor Ibomandaza says the United States should release evidence of corruption and venality by Harare leaders so that people appreciate the sanctions explanation and justification better. Commenting on the burning issues after new reset American targeted measures, Mandaza said, incredible staff out of the U.S. Embassy in Zimbabwe pressure today. In the alia, that available evidence justifies targeting Mnangagwa, his wife, Tagwirei, etc., for corruption and criminal activities. As some of us have always requested, please provide concrete evidence of such available evidence, including details of their assets outside the country. The citizens of Zimbabwe deserve to know why and how their corrupt leaders are being sanctioned. I agree with. I've said to you before, it is really important for us to have paper trail. I also think definitely it's important for children to know. The history of Zimbabwe has always been a lot of lies, exaggerations, manipulations. It's important for this history to be written well so that our children will understand, generations after us to know that if you try to tamper with resources of the country, there will be consequences. And I'm always saying, I wish we can start teaching from grade 1 politics. Because the way politics are in the country, majority of people don't really understand what politics is all about. It's always fighting and fighting. But one thing that disappoints me the most, honestly for me, I've been looking at a situation in Zimbabwe. Pace of me as a young entrepreneur, right? As an entrepreneur, there are systems that I know this board can help me, that person can, the attorneys can help me in this area. I can phone this board that is specialized in this area. I can make mistakes and I can still phone this person who can come and take me through something. Just having structures, and structures that are authentic and real. No, it's different. It's people are always cutting corners. And I've been asking questions, how are business people thrive? We hear about business, billionaires. You remember when someone was questioning, that was Redefining questioning that, how come there's a billionaire lady in Zimbabwe who's also on the sanction list? And how can she become a human rights abuser? Because they have to protect their corruption. So she may not do it directly, but they normally have links. Every person who tried to speak truth to power must be eliminated. That's how most of these thugs work. It's none. Do you remember Joyce Mujuru being asked a question and saying, Joyce Mujuru, you were the vice president of the country. When there was when Gukura happened, you remember when he was being asked a question, when Gukura happened, you guys, why were you quiet? And she said, no, but that was not our actual army. It was another army. She's now throwing a live snake at Mugabe. But Mugabe alone could not just have this group of people who went there and kill innocent citizens. He was being asked. You can see that everyone is not honest. They always try to hide behind someone else. But and that's why I'm asking, why are some of these business people are thriving and others are suffering? How are they thriving? And why is the business sector quiet when politics is so messed up? Because you can't separate politics and business. And I've heard some people say, no, but if business people don't even want to get involved in politics, so how are they trading? The dollar is messed up and they need to be speaking. Our currency is not functioning. They need to be speaking up. Corruption is happening. How are they going to be conducting business? Because if I have to be paying everyone everywhere I go, how am I going to run a business? I'm saying professional business. But this is to show you that even our society, even the business sector, is also corrupt. People are just messed up. Because if they are really running genuine and authentic business, why aren't they speaking out? Why aren't they saying, no, guys, this can't be the Zimbabwe that we want. We want our business to be run properly. And are you surprised why Chinese can speak to people anyhow? They can disrespect people and tell our people that you don't have title deeds. Because you know what? There's no leaders who can look and say, not again, not here. Everyone just doing whatever they want to do. Nobody's respecting the other person. Sometimes we need to be honest with one another. What is it? Because Tema Mliso is saying the business sector is very compromised. And this is what I'm saying. So many people want to be entrepreneurs, but we have to build a society that really respects hard work, transparency, honesty, truth. Not you cutting corners, you pay so and so to do this for you. Guys, I just can't survive in a space like that. Someone asked me one day, why can't you open your property business in Zimbabwe? I was like, I don't think I can survive for a day. Unfortunately, I can't survive for a day. With all respect. I know there are others business, property business that are successful, but personally, I don't think I can survive for a day because I love order. I love to, honestly, even when I make mistakes, I want to be corrected properly. I want inspiration. I want to be told the right way. I want great mentorship. I'm still young. I want people to help me. I'm a single person, remember? Navigating things on my own. If I had a husband, I can say, oh, my husband can deal with other problems, but I'm single, so I deal with my own issues. I need structure. Here I can phone someone who can come through and help me. And honestly, you know what I'm saying? Yet we have had people losing their homes, being sold, getting certificates from the deeds office illegally, and you expect me to have a company there. I just can't do it. I just can't do it. Unfortunately not. I cannot survive. This is why I'm passionate to say, let's fix our country. Let's have a real system that works for everybody so that even young people who aspire to run businesses, entrepreneurs can thrive well, not cutting corners. It's unfair. So let's take a listen when they discuss about the issue of business sector. I'm extremely disappointed that why the business sectors are not speaking. Why are they quiet? They need to speak truth to power. Take a listen, please.
Zimbabweans get that beat in the opposition, in the ruling party.
No, they don't, sadly. 43 years after independence, we have an electorate which does not understand politics, which wants to stay away from politics. Business wants to stay away from politics. But decisions that politicians make have a bearing on you. I've always said to my colleagues in the private sector, if it's agriculture, if it's in engineering, how many candidates have you sponsored who will do what you do, who advance you from an intellectual point of view, from an understanding of issues? They don't
what response do they give you? I mean, that's an important question to business.
They are still, you know, in this era of being intimidated. They're scared, and they don't want to talk about it.
Zimbabwean business is scared about politics.
And not only that, they are so dishonest that while they don't want to be open about it, they still give money to the political parties quietly. You don't have to give money to the political parties quietly.
Both the ruling party and the opposition.
Yes. They know that the government of the day will give them business. And if they're seen to be talking to the opposition, there is a problem, which is something which I think is sad.
What do you think is the effect of that on our governance system? The timidity of the private sector to stand up to principles and values. I mean, I'll take you to South Africa. South Africa changed because Anglo-American decided that they would talk to the ANC, even during apartheid. So the business community has a big role to play in the governance and in our democracy. But what you're saying is that that's not what's happening in Zimbabwe.
No, the business in Zimbabwe is full of hypocrisy.
I love
They've not
that.
helped move this country forward economically. You cannot ignore politics. You've got to be able to be talking to politicians. Like you said, I know in South Africa, the big companies who have a position of a vice president. But that vice president's job is to interact with government, with the politicians, because it's critical. They actually have that office of a vice president who's responsible for that. But we don't have that. But the decisions that are made by politicians, the laws which are passed in parliament, affect them. So the question is that, how did you contribute to this? And why then stay away and have a situation where your company closes down to the effect of the ordinary person who suffers?
What if they push back and say, no, but if we support, if rather we are scared that we will lose government business, government contracts?
For me, if it's about principles, morals, and values, so be it.
Yeah.
Why should you be in a country and be in business to at the mercy of a government? You must be in business because the government sees your role in building it. The corporates themselves must be able to be very clear with government that if there are certain laws that you're passing and are not conducive for our business to thrive, we will certainly close. And I think during the Mugabe time, business had gotten to that stage. In the Second Republic, I expect the Second Republic to be more accommodating. But it seems the Second Republic is on a Cold War, which is even more dangerous.
With the private sector.
Ultimately, human rights, private sector, and all that. Yet, they must be embracing and saying, this is the Second Republic, this is what will happen. Do what you have to do, promote your business.
Why do you think Mnangagwa's government is on this Cold War, as you say?
Because they came up with the mantra of Zimbabwe is open for business. They came up with a mantra that will be inclusive. And they've not been able to do that. And they've betrayed the people of this country. 17 November 2017, everyone, world over, supported the change which would see Zimbabwe being a better nation. And in anticipation, Is the anticipation what it is now? No. You've got people who have been persecuted for no reason. The law is the law. I accept.
People persecuted for no reason. It is really sad. It's very, very sad. And actually, you know, I've been sitting and thinking like both ZANU-PF, who's a ruling party, and everyone in the country, we are all shackled. Because I think ZANU-PF has got the fear of the unknown. As a matter of fact, people actually love them and they think people hate them. No, they have the fear of the unknown. If they really come here and say, Zimbabweans, guys, we have wronged you, we did so much that it was wrong, please, we ask for forgiveness. But we want our country to heal so we can move forward as brothers and sisters. People are going to understand Zimbabweans are not that bad. And God will actually going to usher grace so that we are able to heal as a nation. But unfortunately, they just have the fear of the unknown. I guess maybe some of them are fearing that they can go to prison for the atrocities that they committed. Unfortunately, there are some of the things that you in life, when you sow, those are your seeds, you're going to reap them. Each and every one of us, you know, while the earth remains, seed time and harvest shall never cease. Whatever you sow in life is what you reap. It's worse, sometimes you reap in multiplication. Unfortunately, it's a principle of life. There are so many people who are in pain today. I was reading a site yesterday when they were saying that in Mupilo Hospital, you know, there's food shortages in the hospital. So Mupilo Central Hospital in Bulawayo experienced food shortages last week, and a recent power outage that reported resulted in babies being delivered in the dark. Children, yeah, listen, that's why that's why I say to you, it's no longer an issue of a political party. It's not an issue of us Zimbabweans. To really be honest with one another, kids are being born in the dark. Yo, nema candle, huh? Vanochizorwa nema vanokabata candles. Ah. Because I love this story because it's an incredible story. Okay, my mom was going to the hospital, you know. On your way to the hospital, she could not even walk. I mean, you know, when she cross, like kind of, you know, when you cross those trenches, she was not able to come out of the place because she was heavily pregnant. And then she actually, because, you know, the ambulance had taken time to come. And they had to have me, you know, on the street. So street. You know what I mean? But I'm saying, I mean, really in 2024, that was in 1983. So justifiably so, that was then. But we are talking about 2024, guys. And the people, lights. Murima. Guys, we can do better, man. We can do better. We can do better. So hospital insiders blamed this on poor administration. According to hospital sources, dairy products, vegetables, and meat for relish were all in short supply. The sources said the food shortages resulted from a lack of planning by hospital management, who scrambled to buy cabbages at the last minute. Wow. Yeah, this is disappointing. But I think Bulawayo is better than Harare. Bulawayo is really better than Harare. But because Harare is full of scumbags and really thugs there. They're too much. You know, I was even saying to myself, how come most of corrupt individuals stays in Harare? Okay, you know, whatever you think, that's true. You know, your guess is as much as mine. We are in the same boat. Why is most of corrupt individuals stays in Harare? All right, so Zimbabwe is really full of hypocrites and gaslighters. I can tell you, hypocrites. And why I'm talking about hypocrites, we are having Linda Masarra, who's attacking Nelson Chamisa 24/7. She's a gaslighter and a hypocrite. I'm going to tell you why I call her a hypocrite. Linda Masarra, I call her a hypocrite because she is looking at ZANU-PF, who is the ruling party, that is getting all these sanctions because of lack of transparency and accountability. But she has the nerve to be attacking Nelson Chamisa every time. And I'm asking myself, Miss Linda Masarra, what are you on about? And honestly, I don't know what Linda Masarra is doing as far as attacking Chamisa is concerned. Because remember, Linda Masarra is married. Linda has got a husband there. She's married. Guys, I can only imagine when I'm married, notwithstanding that it's politics, y'all. And I'm focusing on a man and be attacking a man 24/7. I think my husband is going to fly out like, woman, you got to go there and do your thing there because I'm sick and tired. Why is Linda Masarra investing so much energy in attacking Chamisa as a married woman? It's disgusting. Something is wrong in our society, man. I don't care that it's politics. Someone can say, no, it's politics. No, but not 24/7. Every day, whenever you sit having an interview, you're talking about Nelson Chamisa, who is warm with his wife. Maybe they're actually in bed. And you're someone's wife. That's sickening. To me, it's a lack of classy and it's nonsense. Linda Masara needs to be stopped for being so disrespectful. Every time she attacks Chamisa, she can't even see it. She have lost relevance. I don't know what's going on with their party called Lead. That party, she's a washed-up politician. She really, honestly, as much as I love to support girls, I would support Valerio than, Linda. Do people understand that your character matters, especially in politics? Because remember, you're going to be a politician, a leader for Zimbabweans, which means even the work class. But if you're spending 24/7 attacking another man, it's sickening. Now take a listen to Miss Linda Masara, please.
I've had several meetings with ambassadors and whatever, and they would ask Kuti, if this colleague of yours does not have a treasurer, when money comes in, who will be handling the finances? Those are questions that the international community will be asking. But he would hide behind his strategic ambiguity. But internationally, akatoluza wofuti that integrity. Because he showed Kuti had no capacity to have proper structures and frameworks in place in terms to do with accountability and transparency. Because that is what also the international community will look at. Which unfortunately, Triple C followers never looked at. Kuti saka funding, national party share account was saying. How are we going to do with the transparency issues? You also failed to steer a ship to collective leadership, where you've got different and dissenting voices. Because I've had
you heard her.
meetings.
She's always talking about her meeting diplomats and ambassadors, having meetings. And whenever she has this meeting, she's talking about Chamisa. And even in this interview, she's talking about Chamisa. Chamisa is a married man. He's a politician. I get that. I'm a single person. I can talk about Chamisa as much as I want. But because for me, I support him. So definitely I have got the right to speak about Chamisa because I cheer for him like, go, brother. I believe in your calling. I trust in your leadership. Go in. You've got your sister who's supporting you. I'm a person who's very fair. If any Zimbabwean come to me and said, hey, I think God have called me to do this, so I really wish I can do something, I'll give you support. Everyone who knows me, I'm not jealousy. I love to see everyone succeeding because when you're succeeding, I succeed. When I see you happy, I'm happy. You know, that's what I believe in. You know, I mean, today, this morning, I was standing by my window there, and I'm looking outside. I'm looking at, like, you know what? People are just fighting for nothing. There's so much space that is empty. No one owns the space. My dad used to say, go outside, look outside and check. No one owns the space. You can be anything you want to be in life. So why would I spend my time talking about someone else and be gossiping and be jealousy? No, I've got so much to focus on. My calling matters. Me talking to you right now matters. That's why I invest my time and energy to speak to people, changing lives. That's impacting lives. Seeing people succeeding. That's what I live for. But spending your time just attacking another man, it's sad. Even if you're in politics, guys, I do know that you need to also maybe talk about another politician, whatever. But if that's what you only talk about and you have nothing to say about your political party, then get out of politics then. Because you should be spending most of your time, you know, telling people what you can offer than talking about the other person. This is why I respect Chamisa. Chamisa rarely talk about other people. He rarely talk about other people. He talks about himself. Whenever I meet people, he tells them what he's going to do for them, not to talk about someone else. I've never heard him sitting and talk about Linda Masara. Never. But Linda talks about Chamisa 24/7. Not only Linda, majority of politicians in Zimbabwe are just focusing on Nelson Chamisa. It's really sad. Focus on yourself. What are you going to do for Zimbabweans? That's what people want to hear. Gone are the days of bringing toxic politics. We're no longer interested. What is it that you have to offer to the people of Zimbabwe? How are you going to make our society a better society? How are you going to unite our people so at least there can be peace, love, and unity, and success, prosperity, posterity, strong legacy, peace, thanksgiving, love, eating together, sharing the little that we have, support, protecting our children, education systems. The roads must be fixed. What are you going to do to the people of Zimbabwe than spending your time just attacking individuals? It is really, really sad for Mr. Linda Masarira. It's sad. But like I said, the ruling parties there who are lacking transparency, we know, I mean, let's not even start talking about ZANU-PF and the lack of transparency. It's seen, it's 24/7, it's there. It's there, it's there, we are seeing it every day. She doesn't talk about it. And again, you remember she was busy attacking INSCO. She was attacking INSCO, you know INSCO? Yeah. Linda Masarira is attacking INSCO. But she's not talking about what is happening in the ZANU-PF. Some people are saying she's a ZANU-PF project. I would agree on that one because the way she's behaving is completely off. It doesn't make no sense. So here you guys, Shavangu has been suspended. And like I said, this guy does not deserve much of my airtime, unfortunately. He has been suspended in this group of his drama thing with the guys that he was with. I just want to see what's going to happen in the court because remember, Shavangu suspended people and claimed that they were out of the political party. Now I'm watching to see how is the court going to be dealing with this issue, considering that he's being fired. You know, remember he has been sworn in as a senator together with Pulu. Now Shavangu is being suspended. He's being kicked out. Let's see how the court is going to deal with the issue, and if he's going to remain as a senator in parliament with his own bodies. So this is the letter that they said certification and declaration of members of Senate elected, replaced under a coalition for change, citizen coalition for change, have ceased to be members of the Citizens Coalition. So this is the letter that is being sent out by one of their spokesperson. So please be advised that the following members of the Senate were replaced under Citizen Coalition for Change political party and have ceased to be members of Citizen Coalition for Change. So this is the letter that's being sent to Parliament so that at least they will know that these guys have been fired. So number one is Molelo Lillian. There's also Pulu, and Svanda Lovu Collet. Four of them, they've been, recalled out of the political party. So I'm following the story to see how the court is going to be dealing with that issue. Because when Sangeza Shavangu wrote a letter and recalling members from Chamisa's citizen before he left the party, his request was granted. He was given this, they rode a red carpet for him. He got all these, support. And you saw him when he was walking in and claiming that he's actually Joshua Nkomo of our time. He was holding a stick, all manner of nonsense. Joshua Nkomo was a man of classy. He was a father. He was a man who was so, he was a lover man. He was a real father. You could hear him speaking with so much dignity. And Mr. Songezo Shavangu, Joshua Nkomo never cut corners to get to the top, but you think you can just cut corners and get to the top. Sir, let's see how the court is going to be dealing with that issue. Now, Father Mayere wrote this, and I think it was so important. This message is redirected to Mr. Songezo Shavangu. And he said, the swearing in of Songezo Shavangu and his goons as parliamentarians doesn't disgust you, nothing else will. He said, if it does not, nothing will. I'm very disgusted with that. I was literally disgusted when I was watching it. I did a video and you saw it. The world anonymously condemned last year's election that ushered in Zimbabwe's current administration. The election was marred by irregularities, rigging, and violence. That led to all observers, including all that election fell far below the constitutional standard. Despite their best rigging display, they failed to get a 2/3 majority in parliament. When you are that unpopular, rigging can only take you thus far. I agree. 2/3 in parliament would enable them to amend the constitutional 2-term limit for presidential aspirants. They want their guy to come back as a president in 2028, and so they can do all the drama. You also don't forget that what's her name? People like to use a Shona name, so that's why I get confused. The lady that from the Zimbabwe Electoral Commission, they call him Matinyara, Chigumba, was also his term was extended to 6 years with President Mnangagwa extended his term. So what they're trying to say is, you think, not in my lifetime, I'll never want to hear about any election that Chigumba is going to be the leader. With all respect and love that I have for her as a sister, but the work that she's been doing over the years never worked for me, and I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to pretend. I don't think I'm going to entertain anything that comes out from Zek. Not in my lifetime. I'm not going to entertain it, unfortunately. So he said, so they hatched up a plan to use a willing imposter, Shavangu, to sponsor a front, their third-term agenda. So this was a script, of course. It was a script. They threw every state institution, willing political tool, social media influencer, and payable journalists to drive the agenda. History will judge harshly the state institutions and the regime apparatus who made this fraud on democracy possible. With the direct assistance of the state, Shavangu falsified documents that led to the illegal recall of opposition MPs. He then caused most of those MPs to be banned again from running. He spat on the will of the people. He enabled the replacement of duly elected opposition MPs with ZANU-PF, criminals and mafia lords who had been rejected by the masses in August 2023. An opposition community organizer was abducted, tortured, and killed during the by-election campaign period as a direct consequence of his conduct. ZANU-PF illegally gifted him an unelected seat in Senate. They ignored correspondence from duly authorized opposition representatives regarding submission of party lists. The opposition have never been allowed to wear yellow. We were told that the color is too political. That ruling is extant. So why was newly sworn in ZANU-PF Senator Shavangu allowed to break the rule? You're not allowed to approach the chair, save through the chief whip. Why was he allowed to do so in breach of procedure? Since when does the senator president bow to a senator? You saw that lady bowed, I don't know her name, but she was bowing, for Songeza Shavangu. And my heart was broken when I was looking at that scene. That scene was just disappointing. Whenever an opposition senator stands up, ZANU-PF senators heckle. Why are they head cheering for him? Parliament has been tainted by the illegitimacy crisis that plagues the entire 2023 electoral sham. What they stole in 2023 August wasn't enough, so they had to steal even more. The house that is meant to be the scared voice of the people has been reduced to a den of thieves. We need new leaders. This is Fadzai Mahere. Please can you drop your location? And I'm telling you why, because we want to see how we can plan our stuff. Drop your location, because let me tell you, the diaspora, you are like my people, Zimbabwe people. I want to say thank you so much for all your support. It means a lot. Drop your location, drop your blue hearts. Don't forget blue hearts for the new coming. Whatever decision is going to be made, we are in. I'm already ready with my own regalia, and can't wait to be on the campaign trail for Chamisa. I can't wait. And with respect of all political players, and I love them. I'm a person who believes that I can go to any political party here. I've seen politicians, Vanamalema, they literally stay in the neighborhood with the President Ramaphosa. They can meet and they can greet, they can laugh, they can sit and drink tea. You saw them. Why can't we do the same in Zimbabwe? Why do we always being known being so toxic? Being a community that is so embarrassing. We can't just love each other. Notwithstanding how different we are in terms of political affiliation. That is Memory in Araria. Shout out to you, man. Memory is here. Good to see you. You know what I'm saying? Why can't we just be one people? What is wrong with us? What is really wrong with us as a Zimbabwean community? It is sad. But here we are, like I told you, the issue, why is it? Why is it people are not willing to really work together and fix the country? It's because most of the people are protecting their loot. Protecting their loot, because you ask yourself, why can't we just have conversation? I don't understand why. Mr. President Emerson Mnangagwa, my Mr. President, why can't we just have a conversation? What is so difficult for us to sit around the table? I mean, we do it in family. You do it with your children. I mean, President, you've got such a very big family. You sit down. We have seen you on your birthday that time with your kids. It shows that you guys really communicate in your family, because there's no successful family without communication. So why can't we as a nation sit down and talk and have a conversation? When we throw away political parties and say, guys, for the sake of this nation, for the sake of your leaders, Mr. President, and let's have a conversation. Let's build this nation. We really can't keep on outsourcing struggle. The embarrassment is too much. Because, knowing that my president is sanctioned, it's an embarrassment in our society. You know what I mean? Because for me, I know that when you're sanctioned, you can't even have a bank account. There's so many things that you can't do because of those sanctions. Really? We can fix this country. We can do this together. Let's come together and really have a conversation. Good to see you, man. That's Nelson here. Good to see you. We can do this together. So this is like the last clip that I want us to take a listen to. Very, very important submission there. I want to say thank you so much to Trevor Ngwe. He did quite a great job. Really, quite a great job. Let's take a listen, please.
When we broke you, when we took that break, you were an issue that I think is very important.
Thank you, Lois. Thank you. I bless you. Thank you.
Mandaza and Tony Rila talking about we need to have a pause and have a transitional authority which will allow Zimbabweans to find each other. We've had the churches coming up and saying we need a Sabbath year, where we again engage in conversations, everybody involved, to decide where we want to take this nation. And you're coming up and you're saying we need a referendum. It appears to me it's almost the same idea, but using different kind of terminology. But I think there's a realization that there is no single political party that's going to take us out of this place. That we need to find each other and work with each other. Why is it that ZANU-PF does not want to embrace that idea? Why is it that the opposition, the main opposition led by Nelson Chamisa, does not want to embrace that idea?
I just want to correct something quickly here. When he asked the question that he asked about Nelson Chamisa as well, let me tell you, I think Trevor is being vindicated, because at that time when I said this, I was like, ooh, you know? But I realized that no, Trevor is being vindicated because Trevor knew the characteristics of people that were surrounding Nelson Chamisa. So when he was talking from a point of being informed, whereas we were hyped by the fact that we support Nelson Chamisa, but we were not looking closely and saying, what are the behaviors of the people that surrounds him? Because we've seen it, that they were literally, they betrayed him. So I'm sure Trevor was much aware of how some of those people behave. So he was right by saying, why are people refusing no, why they don't want us to have a conversation? Why? And we have seen that most people are just corrupt as well. Whether you're in Triple C or whatever, they are just corrupt. It's time for us to fix this country. But listen to what Atemba had to say.
Transitional
authority.
And this is why I'm a legislator. It's not constitutional.
Okay.
The referendum is.
Okay.
Yeah. How do you fit it in?
Okay.
You see, it's thinking. But through a referendum, then a transitional authority can come in because the people would have spoken.
Yeah.
The referendum is where a country, as president, I see all these issues before me being discussed about us working together. I'm not the best person to judge. My power is with you, the people. Therefore, let's go for a referendum.
Yeah. But the big idea, it seems like you are agreed that the big idea is let's have the referendum, then let's find each other and then decide which way we're going to go as a country. Isn't that the big idea?
To me, that's the whole point. And
right.
I think once that is done, the ruling party does not have to be worried. The opposition political parties don't have to be worried because they're there because of the people. They must worry and carry out the mandate that they've been given by the people. Whether we say it's for 10 years and the first 5 years, the leadership will come from a ZANU-PF person, then we change over, deputized and so forth. What is critical and what is good about the transitional authority or maybe the government of national unity at the time was there checks and balances.
Yeah.
You see, there are checks and balances.
But unfortunately, based on experience, I don't think a leader should come from ZANU-PF, based on experience. Number one. Number two is that ZANU-PF is known for being dishonesty. So you may think that you've got a deal that is clean, and because they're good at of playing people dirty, no one can trust them, unfortunately. For me, I just think that the only way for Zimbabwe to move forward is to remove political parties completely and find the right people to do the job. People vote for a president that they want and find the right people, notwithstanding political parties. We don't care which political party, as you must be the good candidate. Great resume, clean resume. You know, people who scrutinize you. You know what I love? Debates. While we choose, we watch and we monitor and see what's going on. We check out your resume and your past history. Very important for you to actually be trusted with that leadership. In my opinion, that's the only way to restore the country. But this whole thing of saying ZANU-PF leadership, they are known as the government of national unity. It failed before. It can never work this time. I don't trust in the government of national unity. I think the only way forward is to really resuscitate our society, make sure we have the right people who can do the job. Again, not withstanding with political party, political parties, but really focusing on bettering the country. That would be my take. Bettering the country is more important than a political party, honestly. Political parties, people are dishonesty. They're just dishonesty.
which way we're going to go as a country. Isn't that the big idea?
To me, that's the whole point. And I think once that is done, the ruling party does not have to be worried. The opposition political parties don't have to be worried because they're there because of the people. They must worry and carry out the mandate that they've been given by the people. Whether we say it's for 10 years and the first 5 years, the leadership will come from a ZANU-PF person, then we change over, deputized and so forth. What is critical and what is good about the transitional authority or maybe the government of national unity at the time was there checks and balances. You see, there are checks and balances. Automatically, one can do as they please. And that's what we need to, because we need to protect our resources. Yes. And with the way things are going, there should be no resources. And let me tell you something. I speak to a lot of young people, and they say, don't worry. When our time comes, we're going to nationalize every asset which we think is of value to the country. And leaders must speak on that. The business community out there also understand that. That's why the 51-49 legislation which was in place was critical, and you could improve on it. Because first of all, the people with the resources must have the bigger piece of the cake. 10% to the community, 10% to the workers, 31% to the sovereign wealth fund. What's the point of having a sovereign wealth fund without money? Where are they going to get the money from? The point of suspending that or totally removing that law was there wasn't enough for indirect investments. But Zimplats, Unki, Mimosa, the big mining houses, How Mine, had already started implementing that. And with time, you could see how far have you gone. Whether the law changes to now give them more shares is a different thing altogether. But that was a starting point. So there is no law. While Section 13, subsection 4 of the Constitution is clear about empowering local communities, there is no law like the Indigenization Act, which then supports that. So ultimately, resources are going. And what is going to be left? That's why I've said that the younger generation is saying that's okay. We'll also come up with a law to nationalize and say, okay, this asset we're paying you $100. We'll pay you bit by bit. And that's not a safe environment.
No, it isn't.
Because they're not going to do anything. And it is important that government understands that when they do things which are not well-meaning and which are not for the people coming in will reverse that.
Agreed.
So that it benefits the people.
We'll do that exactly that.
Must benefit the people. And the benefits must be seen on the ground, not at the top. The Land Cruisers we drive and all that, only enjoy the road because you have a new Land Cruiser, the road is new. But 70% of the people in this country don't own cars.
80%.
Yeah, they don't own cars.
Same.
So how do they appreciate the good roads? So the president, a Democrat, I say so because he's a lawyer, who was part of the First Republic, must at some point concede. And I say this concede. That's a mark of a leader. That's not to mean he is weak. I've been with this journey for 5 years. I totally miscalculated. I totally misjudged a lot of things. I realized that we all need to work together to move this country forward. That's my prayer. Then he can do it. And it's true. This country was under one man for 37 years. I was part of the government. But I underestimated the damage. Only now that I'm in office. It's different. Me not in the driver's seat. But now I'm in the driver's seat. Fellow Zimbabweans, I suggest that we relook at moving forward. I would suspend elections for now and allow you, the people.
The problem, Temba, with that is you've already said a very important thing, that you've come to a realization that they are in power to benefit themselves. So how can Mnangagwa, who is in power to benefit himself and the people that are around him, allow the kind of thing that you are talking about? I think it's a non-starter on the basis of that.
No, I beg to differ with you on that. That's what I've equally said. Though I'm not South African, I've equally said about the Cyril Ramaphosa case.
Yeah, I've said this, that if the president come today and say, hey, If he comes today and say, everybody, please come through around the table. So many things went wrong, and let's fix this country. He's going to walk out a hero. I can tell you straight. People will respect him. And it's so important for these things to end well. And the only way it's going to end well is when we have a conversation to fix it. You know what I mean? That's the only way. And I remember him, Trevor Ngwe, said when immediately after the coup, he had said he's going to support President Emerson Mnangagwa. He believed in him. Like we all did believe in the president. But he also said that, he realized that, no, this thing was not going to end well. He said, no, I can't be here. Then he had to resign, and he left the job. And one thing I'll tell you is the Zimbabwe needs to be fixed, whether we like it or not. We all need to come together and fix this country. And I think it is with the benefit of ZANU-PF that if we have a conversation, it's going to make life easier. But if this thing end up finishing in a very aggressive manner, then it's going to be very costly for many people. And I've always been telling you that I'm a firm believer that when there's an issue, sometimes you need to sit back, take your time and think through things. And then you can approach those that you have wronged and say, can we come up with an amicable solution? So at least it's an amicable solution. But don't wait until people are not aggressively come after you. That's not how life is supposed to be. So for me, I'm really thinking that the only way, especially to the benefit of ZANU-PF people, they must really seek a dialogue with Zimbabweans. Talk to the people. We are human beings. As a matter of fact, we are family, isn't it? How many people that were wronged in our families? Maybe it's your cousin, it's your aunt, it's your daddy. People have been wronged. People have been hurt. But you get to a point where you say, but you know what? Family comes first, which means the nation comes first. Let's forgive each other. You hold hands and say, let's move. That's wisdom. But imagine an entire nation of such a great people have to be always hearing, outsourcing. Guys, it's enough now. Other countries can sit. South Africa can sit. Right now, they're having elections this year, and they will see how the numbers go. They're going to have coalitions. You know why? For the benefit of the nation. It's not about a person who is after position. No, for the benefit of the nation. That's what we need to do as Zimbabwe, to understand that we don't own Zimbabwe. We are simply citizens, all of us. Let's come together and work together and make sure we fix this country for the betterment of our future, our children, grandchildren, guys. A legacy is so important. Living, even if we don't benefit much, but I think just living a nation where our children can be able to say, you know what, this is the country that they left for us. I mean, to me, I don't mind not benefiting, but if my children can benefit, if I can maybe go to heaven knowing that my kids are secured in terms of being in a nation that is actually normal, not what we see today. No, guys. Where they know that I need to respect my brother, I need to love my sister, I need to honor someone. Guys, we can't have a nation that is full of thugs, and thugs now hailing like they're kings. Talk to people anyhow, treating people anyhow. Guys, it can't. At some point, we need to lower our guards and really humble ourselves and say, you know what, at the end of the day, we came with nothing in this world. We're all going to live with nothing. When Steve Jobs, they knew that money was nothing. Zimba zamunoona madaka, they mean nothing in this world. Cars zamuriguchemera maposha, they're nothing. Very soon they'll be the scrapyard. Is that what can make you hate your brother or hate your sister? For things. Food. How many plates of food are you eating per day? Mukuchigama plates mangani. It's not even corrupt people. Mukuchigama plates mangani saza per day. What is it that you are eating that is so expensive that any person can't afford to buy? I mean, because in 2024, you can get anything. How much are you spending per day? But greedy has taken over our people, and that has to stop. Being a greedy person, it has to stop. Imamuna nofungira maneba zako. Munozwa sewa mochira wasina kujika. Asimuchibira vanu. Marina fanage chifida the poor. What about my orphans? Arimunyika vana masnaka na chikafu. Barukufamba vani hembe zakavaruka. Munozwa say, how do you see that? At some point, we need to do what's right. Honestly, I just pray. I pray that people are going to really seek for a dialogue. A dialogue is the only way that will free our people and free Zimbabwe. Thank you so much, guys, for coming through today. I appreciate you. So like I said, tonight we're going to be pursuing those interviews that were done with Hope Wachingono, and they went together with Tagwirei. They did an incredible interview. So we need to pursue that quite very closely. And we're going to look at Sheikh's interview as well. A number of things that he alluded that we need to really ponder and think and comment on Trust me, Zimbabwe is getting to a direction where social media is going to be very powerful, and they're definitely going to be inquiring and see what is it that people are saying. I'm sure even most of the leaders have to know political parties need to start having their own social, or their own, podcasts and talk about what they're going to do for the people of Zimbabwe. I was looking this morning and look at EFF. They've got their own YouTube channel. They call different individuals discussing about the future of the country. That's the Zimbabwe that we want, having conversations. Enough with lies, enough with threats, enough. Let's show each other some love. That's who we are. Guys, brothers and sisters, ZANU-PF, Triple C, whichever political party you belong to, we are one people. And nothing will change. Our blood is so connected that when you hate me, you're hating yourself, you're hating your child. Because maybe my son will marry your daughter. Beware of how you're treating people, because tomorrow you're going to wake up looking for them. The judiciary, the police, the army, all of you, we need each other. Together we can fix this country. Let's change our ways. Let's do what's right. Let's love each other. Let's respect each other. May God bless you, and may God bless Zimbabwe. And bye for now.